Have you ever observed the rhythm and flow in nature? The sun rises every day, illuminates a part of the earth and settles down into oblivion, only to reappear on the other end to do the same. The water flows seamlessly, melting from the majestic glaciers and flowing into rivers and streams that nourish the soil, plants and animals alike. Or just look at how the human body functions. It's a wonder in its own right. Billions of cells work in perfect harmony to keep us alive and healthy without us having any voluntary control over any of those complex processes. The balance here is so delicate that if one part starts malfunctioning, the entire system will collapse to death. Yet paradoxically, it is so robust that it lasts us a lifetime. Everything in this magnificent universe is in a state of constant motion. Everything happens effortlessly, and nothing is ever left undone. Neither does anything happen before its time, nor is there a concept of being late in nature. The crops grow, the sun shines, man moves from childhood to old age, all in a wonderful rhythmic flow. Every phenomenon takes place in cycles and mesmerizing patterns, and everywhere you look, you cannot find a single sign of force or struggle. The universe neither tries to rush through the tasks, nor lingers on one more than necessary. If we sincerely reflect on everything around us in the natural world, we might unlock the true secrets to a long, revitalizing and fulfilling life. But unfortunately, we don't find the time to learn from nature, and so we suffer the wrath of our self-created miseries. You have lived your life this very moment trying to control everything, and look how that has worked out for you. It has given you nothing but sleepless nights filled with anxiety and has robbed you of your innate childlike joy. It's not entirely your fault. We live in a world consumed by the fear and anxiety of being left behind. We all are running in a race we know nothing about, and one that doesn't even have a finishing line. What an utterly useless pursuit. Would you ever run a race marred with obstacles and challenges that has no finishing line or no reward in sight? You wouldn't, but that's your rational mind talking. The societal pressure and the pressure of expectations are so burdensome for most of us that we are compelled to run in such a race from birth to death. All the logic and wisdom of the world cannot help us escape the mental chains we have imprisoned ourselves in because they have been imprinted deep onto the layers of our subconscious. So, have you ever asked yourself, what am I running after? What am I looking for? The life saga of a human being living in the modern world is nothing but a long, excruciating journey of struggle and hurry. Since the time you were a child with a highly plastic mind, you saw the adults around you rushing through life as if they were trying to accomplish some marvelous feats through all their labor, sacrifices, and struggle. And the world around you indoctrinated your suggestible mind with the false notion that struggling is the only way out. One has to struggle and bear burdens beyond one's capability to successfully get through this thing called life. So how about we offer you something different today? A path that involves not struggling, not exerting pressure, but rather letting things unfold uninterrupted. This is called the principle of Wu-Wei, introduced by the venerated Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. Literally, it means doing nothing, but actually, this principle encapsulates incredibly powerful truths capable of transforming human life. Wu-Wei is the subtle art of not forcing anything. Have you ever tried doing a piece of work you have been forced to do that you don't like? It seems like the weight of the entire universe has been unleashed onto you. Every minute seems like an eternity just because you are not interested in doing what you are forced to do. Contrast this with a piece of work you are passionate about, and the time flies. Things align in your favor, and it's as if everything is rooted in your success. Or have you ever watched a performance where the actors look like they were forced to do the job of playing the role? In such cases, you sense the uneasiness and lack of depth in role-playing, and you immediately lose interest. So, nothing forced has any meaning or value. That is why Lao Tzu was an advocate of living life without force or struggle. An effortless living. It is the concept of not fighting against reality, but trusting the divine intelligence behind it. You are a very significant part of that divine consciousness, which is the end-all and be-all of everything we have ever known. This all-encompassing energy is from which everything originated and where everything rests and resides. Be it the stars, the galaxies, the trees, or the human body. They all are made of the same essence, the same intelligence. It is putting everything in motion and creating all the circumstances and situations. What you perceive as reality are in fact manifestations rendered through this infinite intelligence. So things might look like they are not going exactly how you want them to, but in the end, everything will make sense. Whatever it is that you want, you can achieve it by trusting this potent energy that does not appear in plain sight, yet accomplishes everything. At first glance, treading the path of Wu-Wei looks difficult and impractical because our minds have been programmed to see things in the context of cause and effect. We have built a flawed premise in our minds that unless we do not forcefully cause something to change, by fighting and striving for what we want, we will not get it. We all have seen millions participating in the war against drugs and the war against terrorism, but has their activism brought about a change? Not even a slight bit. That is the nature of reality in this attraction-based universe. The more you fight against something, the more you bring it to your experience. When you are fighting a war on drugs, you are laser focusing and consolidating all your attention and energy on the nuisance of drugs, and therefore the problem expands more and more. That may help you understand how futile it is to fight against anything, even the things you do not like. Your problems are being fed by your energy. Therefore, they persist in your reality no matter how much you try to get rid of them. So does that mean that one should give up on his desires? Not at all. Wu-Wei is not the path of abstinence from worldly pleasures. It is not dissuading you from going after what you want and reaching for it. For that is the very nature of human consciousness. A human being is born a creator, and every individual is gifted with this wonderful ability to carve out his own unique circumstances and life path. We all have desires that make us invent new pathways in this journey of life, and it is because of these desires that we evolve on a spiritual level. The moment you entered your physical body, you had an agenda, a soul mission, and a list of lessons and experiences you wanted to indulge in during this lifetime. The desires you have are impulses from your higher self, so that you may achieve all that you had hoped for while you were in the non-physical. But you need to distinguish between which of those impulses are really from your higher self, and which ones are the disguised facets of your ego self. The false layer of ego is so stubborn that it is impossible for an ordinary man to break out of it and gain access to their true self. Think of yourself as a diamond, whose shine has been dimmed because of the mud that has clung to its surface. The sticky mud hasn't changed the composition of the diamond in any way. It is still a diamond, still valuable as ever, but it has hampered the diamond's ability to shine with all its elegance and might. Similarly, your ego is the layer of mud that is sticking to you for so long that you don't even realize who you really are beneath all the conditioning. When you operate from ego consciousness, you are functioning at the lowest levels of human intellect. This is the place of cutthroat competition, trying to get ahead at the expense of others, and satisfying the ego god within each one of us. It leads us nowhere but to the pits of sorrow and rage. The society around us is in a state of decline because we have become subservient to the whims of our ego. Everything we do or desire is to gain validation from others. However, if you are curious and willing to go the extra mile to know your true self, there are so many wonderful ways to do so. These techniques work on relaxing the mind to melt the ego self and rediscover the pure consciousness underneath. Going in silence and observing your thoughts is the best cure for many psychological ailments of the mind, including keeping an eye on the ego. When you spend time in silence with your attention resting on your breath, the noise in your mind simmers down for a moment. You then get a chance to catch a glimpse of your pristine self, free from the colors of ego and survival emotions. It's our ego that makes us do things our higher self wouldn't agree with, because the ego is only concerned with instant gratification, no matter at what cost. So many people make the biggest decisions of their lives under the influence of ego and regret it immediately. But walking on the path of Wu-Wei, you must tame this beast that is slowly eating away at your own sanity. The path of the ego seems easy at first, but that ease and comfort is only a mirage. The spiritual path seems impossible to tread, but as you take a few steps, you discover that it was just your mind tricking you and keeping you in your comfort zone. Nature is incredibly therapeutic. It carries this powerful healing vibration that can undo all of your cognitive inefficiencies. Try going outside every day and sitting amongst nature. Observe the trees, the birds, and everything around you. In just a few minutes, your anxious thoughts will begin dying down, and you will notice a healing sensation in your body and mind. Every day, you will learn something new from nature, and this will bring about positive changes in your personality. As your mind becomes calmer and the violent waves settle down, you can finally develop a profound understanding of who you are and what you actually desire. You may also find your life's calling in these deep, meditative states of mind. When you have discovered a burning desire from the depths of your own consciousness, you may infuse it with your intention and energy, just like you sow a seed in a well-prepared, fertile soil. Here comes the interesting part, the stage where people fail most often. It is to trust that the seed they have sowed will become a plant. It is to have such blind faith in the magic of the universe that you refuse to entertain thoughts of doubt or lack. Most people are so caught up in survival emotions and negative thought loops that they cannot keep faith. They doubt, they try to speed up the process, but no matter what you do, how much you run and shout and beg, the seed must go through its gestation period to become a plant. Your impatience only adds to your suffering. It doesn't alter the natural universal processes in any way, because every divine process is sacred. It cannot be influenced. Everything unfolds in its own designated time. As Lao Tzu said, everything under heaven is a sacred vessel and cannot be controlled. Trying to control leads to ruin. Trying to grasp, we lose. Allow your life to unfold naturally. Know that it too is a vessel of perfection. Just as you breathe in and breathe out, there is a time for being ahead and a time for being behind. A time for being in motion and a time for being at rest. A time for being vigorous and a time for being exhausted. A time for being safe and a time for being in danger. Your limited mind and perspective make you believe that if it doesn't happen in the time you prescribed, it is of no use. When you think that way, you are restricting the universe from showing you its marvels and magnificence. You might want something today, but the right time might be for you to get it in a year. But if you trust the divine intelligence and your higher self on the path to achieving that goal, you will notice that everything will manifest in ways even better than you could have ever imagined. After all, you only have a limited perception that is unable to transcend beyond your current reality. So how can you compare your limited mind with the all-knowing power of the universe, which is the very creator of everything in all dimensions? Even the idea sounds absurd. The path to the complete attainment of your desire can either be a wonderful journey of surprises and synchronicities, or the most traumatizing and agonizing experience of your life. It all depends on how you perceive things. The path towards your most heartfelt desire will never be linear. It will have its fair share of twists and turns. If you complain and blame at every challenge along the way, you might give up too soon, and sure enough, you will regret seeing other people who kept faith and climbed all the way up to the summit. Or you can take every challenge life throws at you with an open mind and a grateful heart, and you can try to extract from it the most important lessons that the universe is trying to teach you. Nothing is inherently good or bad. It's how you perceive it, and that's what Lao Tzu has taught us through his work. In the grand scheme of your life, these small challenges will not even matter to you because you will soon realize that they have helped you reach your purpose. In those moments, looking back and connecting the dots, you would feel grateful that you did not give up. So many people set goals, but there are only a handful of winners in every field. Patience is the key component of success, and it is the sole reason why some people keep pushing forward while others give up. The world respects the winners, not the quitters. The winners are idolized because they showed tenacity in the face of uncertainty. But you don't need to rush the process to win. You just have to stick to it and dedicate your heart and soul to it. Stephen Kotler talks about the flow state, which perfectly complements the Wu-Wei principle and other teachings of Lao Tzu. Stephen says, flow is more than an optimal state of consciousness, one where we feel our best and perform our best. It also appears to be the only practical answer to the question, what is the meaning of life? Flow is what makes life worth living. In a flow state consciousness, you're neither hurrying through the process, nor are you concerned with the outcome. Instead, you spend each minute rejoicing in the work and having a good time. As a result, everything gets done without suffering. Always know that life is working for you. All the resources of the universe are devoted to fulfilling your desires because you are such a significant part of this entire system. But you just need to trust and stay patient. Miracles await you on the other side.